Welcome all in this video. My name is C. Senthil Kumar, Professor, Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science. In this video, we are going to discuss about various things about the software engineering. Before getting to the current video, I would like to remembering the previous video. Actually, our previous video we discussed about various things about the software engineering, why software engineering used nowadays, and importance of software engineering and all things. Okay, software, especially the software engineering is a systematic approach going to uh, some important things and guidelines to the software developers. Okay, definitely today is a very competitive world. Every software organizations are uh, going to focus in the object oriented software development. So in this way, software engineering is very helpful. Whenever we are going to choose a new software development, before that we have to ensuring our all those things in a very clear manner or not. So that is the way software engineering going to give the lot of rules and regulations and procedures, how software is going to start, how we are going to implement all those things in intermediary things, how we are going to move to the previous level to next level, or how we are going to use the applications and programming languages, how we are going to choose the databases. So inside the software development there are plenty of elements is there. So collection of elements is called as the software. So each and every element is plays a vital role for this part of the software development, right? For example, people in the sense the manpower is very important. Then tools, then programming languages, then databases, then other technologies, then other non-supported things. So these are all the things should be partially and fully supported for the part of the software development. So in this way, so we are going to develop a software means not only for the technical things, we are going to use the other technical things also, especially the document, then templates, then guidelines, rules and regulations. So these are all the theoretical frameworks and all other important things which will be provided by the software engineering. So this is our previous video, we discussed a lot. Okay, so this is our new video. Now we slightly jumping into our video. Start with the process models. Actually, software process model is a very plays a very important role. Software process model is an abstraction of the software development process. Okay, the model specify the stages and order of the process. So think of this representation of the order activities of the process and the sequence in which they are performed. So software model is definitely having some of the sequence of activities and constraints and resources used in the production or maintenance of the software. So every model should be very useful and helpful to understand the software and all other development process. Definitely by using these models will provide the systematic approach and to guiding the work. Okay, how the particular task is going to be started, the initially how the verifications and all things to be managed, then how to controlling the overall progress. So everything should be monitored and give the some of the important tips based on the process models. So this is the definition. Okay, this is the some of the process models we are having. Mainly model will use it in the into the following purposes. What are all the tasks to be performed? The input and output of the each task, pre and post continuous for each task, flow and sequence of the each task. Mainly every process model should focus on the goal of the software process model is to provide the guidelines for controlling and coordinating the task to achieve the end of the product and objective as effectively as possible. Okay, whether we have already fixed the target, we always focused and move towards the target. So in this way definitely we are referring and use the model will helpful to achieve the target in a very systematic way. Here every software development methodologies or software development institutions, definitely we use some of the process models, okay, based on the software development, based on the business strategies. So every organizations should individually concentrating on the software development models as the main part. Okay, here uh, there are different types of software development lifecycle models to be specified and designed. Okay, so then only we can achieve our quality, and we can achieve our customer satisfaction and all things. Definitely these models are very helpful to our software development process in a level by level. Okay, nowadays is a very world is running towards the very competitive way, so that is why every software manufacturing institutions or software manufacturing divisions right now rightly focused on these kind of models, and especially follow the software engineering procedures and rules and regulations. So each and every process model follows the series of phase that is the unique of its types to ensure that the success in this step of the software development. In this video we are going to let's discuss about various kinds of models, that is called as waterfall models, incremental models, RAID models, spiral models, prototyping models, and concurrent models. Here we can see the 6 types of models. Let's go one by one. First we touch with the waterfall model. Especially the waterfall model is the classical model. It's a starting model. It is also oldest model. Okay, as we know already, this is called as mother of all the models. Especially it is widely used to government projects and many vital projects in a company. Okay, why we are going to do a project? Definitely something business strategies is moved towards in a manual way, so that manual way is faced on the lot of problems, right? There is no reliability, there is no flexibility, that is more manpower consumed, that is storage, very difficult to maintain the storage and all things is a very hard to face all those things. So that's why nowadays we every organizations move towards the implementation of products and softwares by the concept of the automation. So that's why every industries are approaching the software company, and to tell the requirements and need the purpose of the software. So once the software organizations are collecting these informations, they definitely uh, going to develop the all the things about that particular organization's business strategies covering the particular software products. So that's why before get into the development of the software, every companies, every organization should manage all those things in a very systematic way. So that is why at that time we need a model. So here the waterfall model very helpful. Okay, it is called as the linear sequential model and classical life cycle model. So based on this model we can able to do software development in a very right direction. In these models, especially the sequence of steps, so lot of sequence of steps having based on these steps, each and every steps um, service provide to the next step. Suppose we are having to complete in a first level, means we let's move to the next level, next level, next level. So every level is very important, so all those levels completed and treated as the equal manner, right? So this model is especially used to small projects. This model feedback is taken after each phase to ensure that the project is on the right path. Testing path starts only after the development completed. Okay, every wants to know once the design is over, moves to the coding, then whether the coding is successfully completed, in the sense partially going to conduct the testing. Once the testing is testing should be completed in the sense, then uh, moves to the next stage for the implementations and enhancements. So this kind of waterfall models should helpful to all those things. This is, we can see the diagram for the waterfall model. This is start from the requirement definition. Requirement definition is gathering and collecting the information from the customer as per the requirements, as per the industry's needs. So what are all the business strategies going to automate it? Those kind of business and all things is collective in a very serious manner, right? Data collection is a source which plays a very vital role, where the data is to be collected and how the data is collected, whom is going to collecting the data, which business strategies are going to be automated. So that kind of business strategies, everything top to bottom should be collected in a very requirement manner. So that is called as the requirement definition. In the part of the requirement definition, the customer should be identified, who is the end user, who is the manufacturer, how the relationship should be going on to the manufacturer and the end user, how the customer satisfaction to be managed. So everything should be uh, used in a very systematic manner. So this is what start from the requirement definition from the waterfall model. Next stage, once the requirement definition is over, we should move into the uh, system and software design, right? So initially planning and analysis should be conducted in the part of the requirement definitions. Initially start from the software development. Waterfall model tell us the how we are going to start the software project development, where we are going to start, what are all the things required, in the sense the elements, what are all the elements to be needed. Okay, initially we are going to check with the checklist, so then only we should move to the next level. So these are all the levels are very important, right? So once we get it into all those things, once we are collecting all those things in the initial in requirements, in the sense that they definitely we move to the next stage, that is called as system and software design, right? In the initial part of the system and software design should be made the system analysis. Okay, system analyst going to make how this system systematically going to analyze, right? Systematically going to use, there is any difficulties, there is any risk, it's been possible for the part of our software development. So everything should be monitored and everything should be pre-analyzed. Okay, everything noted in a very clear documentation manner, right? So once the designing part is over, the professional designers only going to manage and design the design environment. The design environment is a very critical and very useful things. Okay, based on the design only we are going to write a coding. If definitely we make or made some of the mistakes in the design part, the coding part will be also affected. So that's it, that is why designing is focused in the tab order manner. Okay, how the design is started and how we are going to move the next level. So everything top to bottom should be clearly defined. So that is called as waterfall model tell us some of the procedures and guidelines to how the design is managed and all things in a software part, right? So next we straightly move into the implementation and unit testing. Okay, in the part of system and software design, we are going to the integration package of the coding and designing, right? So once the designing is over, just move into the coding. Coding is a beautiful part, you know. So coding is a technical part going to cover all those things, right? So based on the design, the software engineers or code engineers going to make a code. Okay, so once the each and every part of the coding that should be focused in a very serious and based on the fulfill our requirements. Okay, so in the future purpose also coding should be created, basically not only covering the technical, and it is the focus on the long term purpose only. Then the software quality always treated how we are going to create a code, how we are going to design a design part. So these are all the two things are very important. Suppose we does not made any mistake in the part of the designing and coding, definitely that software is moved to the next stage in a very fast manner. Okay, that should be testing part also very important. Okay, testing parts also we can made easily, without any error in this designing and coding part. So these are all the terms and the things should be provided by the system design and coding part. Next, the service provided to the next level. This is called as the third level of the waterfall model, that is called as implementation and unit testing, right? Testing is a major part of the software development, right? Going to checking out of our software quality, how our software is working, how our software is response to us, whether the software is working in a fast manner or not. Okay, how coders created the coding, how designers created the designing. So everything made in a right manner or not. There is any mistakes, there is any errors, there is any risk. So these are all the things going to manage in the part of the testing, whether our software is working in a proper manner or not. If based on the some of the test cases only, the testers is going to be do the testing, right? Some of the input test cases are readily available. So based on the inputs, that input is get into the software, then the process is to be executed based on the input, going to get the output, right? Whether output is matched into the input test cases, our software is working in a right manner. So based on that only, not only for a single test case, uh, everywhere we should focus on the multiple test cases for each and every task. So based on the task only, that task is verified and completed and moves towards to the next level, right? So once the testing is over, that should be moved into the next stage, that is called as the testing is starting the testing is not to be conducted in a whole system, that is conducted by using the small tasks. Then finally it's to be integrated into the big whole system, that is called the system testing. System testing plays a major role, right? Our business strategies, our business, all those things in a clearly covered in our software product or not. So everything should be tested, right, with the proper use cases. So this is the next level of the waterfall model. So I already said waterfall model, which will be provide to systematic approach to us, right? Finally, that is the last part is called as the operation and maintenance. Once the product development is over, testing is over, that should be carried over to the customer place and install it and implement it, and it has working on to the that customer place. Okay, whether maintenance here, maintenance is very important, whether the software is working in a right manner, also whether customer facing some of the issues problems, customer take into the next level, customer wish to change some of the things. So everything should be properly communicated with the software developing units. So that is called as whatever the things required, everything should be make and made in the stipulated time. So that is called as the main part of the software developers. So that is why we always called as the proper relationship should be maintained by the customers and the software developing units. So that kind of disciplines and that kind of procedures, that kind of inbuilt in theorems and approaches should be provided by the waterfall model. This is the very important and beautiful model, you know. So next, these are all the things I have explained, right? First one is the requirement analysis, collecting the requirements regarding our system users and all things. Then we have to details and descriptions should be collected. Then system and software design, going to use the designing, and before that we have to establish on the overall system architecture. Based on the architecture only, going to software design uh, should be made. Then in this software design involving and identifying the many components and verifications. Okay, fundamental things should be covered. Then relationship, maintain the relationship and dependencies between the everything's. So here implementation and unit testing also very important. Implementation and unit testing is the testing which is going to be tested by small parts, right? So next, integration and system testing. integration in the sense the various part of the unit testing components are merged and finally we get into the whole system. Then whether we are going to ensure that our whole system is working in a right manner or not. So that kind of we have to fulfill our all requirements based on the input criteria, right? Our customer business strategy is fully covered or not. So everything should be monitored, everything should be strictly focused in the part of the integration and system testing, right? So next we should get into operation and maintenance. I explained earlier, right? Now normally operation and maintenance is the once the software is implemented and installed, in the sense that we have to do the customization and enhancement for that particular project in the client place. Various testings should be conducted. We have to fulfill and we have to clear all those things, all those doubts for the customers. Okay, so every manufacturing units should to take care of these things and always do the needful of the particular customers. These are all the advantages of waterfall model. It's a very simple and very easy to understand. Various phases are connected with each and every models. So each and every stage in the model is clearly defined. Especially it has a very clear and very understood milestone concepts. Process and actions also very useful, and it is well documented. It is also focusing on the small projects, right, where requirements are well understood. Some of the disadvantages is that clients valuable feedback cannot be included with the ongoing development phase, right? Very difficult to accommodate with the request and frequent changes. Then documentation occupies the lot of times, so developers and testers should affected for that. It is not desirable for complex projects, so where the requirement changes frequently. Okay, once suppose once programmers are continuing for the development, some of the unavoidable situations, the particular programmer is left out and the new programmers comes and take over that work means. So that kind of things, documentation and other things should be very hard to manage for the new programmers. So that is why these are all the disadvantages, right? Next we move into the incremental model. Okay, before getting to this, so I would like to summarize our importance of the process models and waterfall models. So that is why these are all the things are very important, right? We need to systematic guidelines, we need to systematic approach, okay, for the part of the software development. We never focused in a technical way only. We should need to focus on theoretical and these kind of software engineering disciplines also. Okay, so without the software engineering help, without the software engineering process models help, we never do anything, right? Every companies nowadays focusing on these things. Companies are right now are doing in the part of the software development with the help of the object oriented development. So that kind of object oriented software development, we can easily achieve our goals in a very short amount of time. So that is why these kind of models are very useful. Okay, next, incremental model. Incremental model is combines the elements of waterfall model and they are applied in an interactive fashion. This is a very important model, has consist of sequential activities, right? Whether we are going to choose the product means that product is going to be used in a various levels. So each and every level should be systematically explained. So that kind of models, that is called as incremental model. So incremental model definitely focused on the customers additional suggestions and all additional requirements. Once the requirements is finalized, that is from the customer side, that manufacturing unit is going to be take into the steps and moves towards to the next level. In the part of the software development, some of the additional things and additional suggestions or additional requirements to be added means, yeah, definitely this model is very helpful for on that stage. Okay, this is the process is repeated until the product is completed. It is a refinement circulation should be made. Once we are going to do a particular task means until we are having some of the stipulated results target, that is once we reach the target only we move to the next level, otherwise we have to do the task repetitively whether we are going to achieve our target. So these are all the things and the importance of the incremental model. Here we are having some of the examples. The word processing software is developing using the incremental model, right? So the process should be repeated at once up to the condition is satisfied. These are all the things and the importance of the incremental model. This is the diagram we can easily see and understand. Okay, the incremental model, there are a few consistent of levels. Start from the communication, planning, and modeling, construction. Okay, then deployment. In the deployment part is very important. It is focused on in a final stage, right? Communication in the sense it is in this model also moves with the same and related concept with the waterfall models, consistent performance and continuous phase from the one to another, right? Start from the communication in the sense the once the project is confirmed we have to ensure all those things from the customer side. What are all the business strategies and how business strategies is moving towards how real data is going, so everything should be focused. Okay, manual task is a very easy one, but while we are converting into the manual task into the computerized task, that time we need to do some of the communications, right? Who is going to communicate with the customer and who is the responsible for the manufacturing unit, and all things should be focused in the communication part, right? Planning is very important. So every task, not only for software development, we should move or we should do something. Definitely planning is very important. Suppose we start from the new journey from your place to some other place, that time planning is very important. How we are going to choose the traveling mode, how is your traveling time, your destination place, how the travel of the mode. Okay, then how we are going to manage with the luggages. So that is why I am saying this is these are all the examples for the planning. Without planning we never do anything in a right manner. So that is why in the software development part also planning is very important. Okay, so everything should be planned and analyzed in a very clear manner. So that is only once they satisfied the planning unit, that should be moved into the next, that is modeling. In the part of the modeling, here the incremental model focusing on the two things, one is analysis, one is the design. Okay, before design we get into the analysis in a right direction. So we made all those things in a clear way, how what all the elements should be required, the databases, suppose we are using databases in the sense how we are going to make the connections, how we are going to manage and storing the data inside the database, whether the database is supported for the relational database model or not, whether we are using in a front end means that is a connectivity is made in a very right manner or not. Once the data is processed in the sense that finally the data is moved into the database. Okay, the whether information flow is supported in a right manner or not. Then additional requirements is we have to analyze or not. So technical analysis should be made, should be analyze all the technical terms, right? Whether the risk, whether there is possible to comes for the errors, there is possible to comes for the failures, whether how many days it will take, so how we are going to allocate the manpower for each and every task, so total time of project duration. So everything should be analyzed in before start a software projects, right? The once we get into the clear idea about the software analysis, it should be moved to the next stage, that is called as the design. So in the designing part is very important. I said earlier in the part of the waterfall model, design a professional designer is going to be design a system, right? Next the construction. Once the designing is clear, we let's move to next stage, that is called as the construction. In the construction part, incremental model focusing on the two things, one is the coding, then another one is the test. Okay, once the code is going to be write a programs, write a codings for based on the systematic way, based on the tape order basis. Okay, once the coding is over, in the sense the entire task should be moved to the testing stage, whether our code is working in a right manner or not, the whole software is working in a right manner or not, whether our we have to fulfill our quality, we have to achieve our results. So everything should be focused, right? Next, deployment is the once the coding and testing is successfully completed, means it has move into the next stage, that is called as deployment stage. It's been a very important, okay, especially deployment stage is delivery and feedback. Once the software is development is over, it is carrying carrying to the customer place and to be implemented and installed. Okay, after implementation, feedback is very important, collecting feedback from the clients or end user sides. So incremental model ensuring all those things, right? And delivery and enhancement and everything, this figure especially very useful things focus in a very top to bottom. So this is the diagram for the incremental model. Next, we should these are all the things, these are all the phases we are going to study about the incremental model. I explained everything in the diagram part of the incremental model. So anyhow, we are having these are all the phases: communication, planning, okay, modeling, construction, deployment. Then finally, we let's move to advantages of incremental model. So every model has some of the advantages, every model has some of the disadvantages also, right? Positive and negative things. This model is flexible because the cost of the development is low and the initial product delivery is faster. So this model, it's easier to test and debug in the smaller interactions. So the working software is generated and quickly in the software life cycle. Software life cycle is very important, right? Okay, before making the SRS preparation, we should frame a model concepts also. Customer can respond to its functionalities after every increment. So definitely it is very useful. In other models not supported for the incremental basis things. Incremental in the sense the anything we want to add into the partial or into the starting stage or ending stage, in between stages, we can easily add it, and whatever the customer things, whatever the customer technical things can be easily included and implemented, right? Disadvantage, this is some of the disadvantages, that the cost of the final products may cross the cost initially estimated. This model is requires a very clear and complete planning, okay. Then other things, clear very it is does not focus on the clear and complete planning design is required before the whole system is broken into the similar increments. Then demands of the customer for the additional functionalities after every increment causes problem in the system architecture. These are all the advantages and disadvantages. And now let's move to next model, that is called as RAD model. RAD in the sense that is called as the Rapid Application Development Model. Okay, by using the RAD model, we can able to develop a software in a very efficient manner. This model going to gives the lot of systematical approach and procedures, rules and regulations, and proper guidelines to the users, right? Software product is developed in short period of time. Some of the product is going to make in a short amount of time. This kind of model is very useful. This is the initial activity start with the communication between the customer and developer. Okay, RAID model should be helpful and take care for that. Planning depends upon the initial requirements, and then the requirements are divided into the groups. Planning is more important to together uh, work together on the different modules. So this is the diagram. We can see start from the communication and moves to the next planning, or planning is over means the next moves towards the processing activities, right? Based on the model only, team 1 and team 2, team 3 and team n. Okay, up to team n, should be focused in an equal manner based on that sequential approach. Going to be everything should be conducted, everything should be move focus to the next levels. Finally everything is over in the part of the days should be also mentioned. Suppose our software development total period is 90 days, means the terms to be split up into the every phases based on the time stipulated things going to be moves. Suppose we are not move into the right time, in the sense that particular things to be affected in a deadlock, so that is why we move to as per our plans. Finally the deployment is very important. Once the software product development is over, that should be moved to the customer place and installed and monitoring, and there is any problem occurs, means definitely we are going to clear those problems. Okay, this is the always we gives 100% support from the manufacturing divisions. Okay, so this diagram shows us the clear explanation about the RAD model. So when we are going to use the RAD model, means the definitely system needs to be create the project of the modularizes in a short time span of time. Suppose that is we need to complete our project in a minimum period of time, that is short time, means this model is very useful. Then when the requirements are well known, okay, when the technical risk is limited, when there is necessity to make a system which modularized in 2 to 3 months of period, it should be used only if the budgets allow the use of automatic code generations. So here these are all the terms. This model is very helpful. These are all the advantages. This model is very flexible and we can easily change any kind of additional requirements, right? This model is changes are adaptable. It is reduced development time. Increases the reusability of the features. Reusability in the sense, suppose we are going to develop a software. In the part of software development, we can develop from the previous applications. We can get into that concept and apply our new projects. Okay, all already used components or codings we can easily use our new projects also. This is also only some part, okay, not for the 100%. Whatever the things we need to use the reusability, we can easily go and get it and use our current things also. This is disadvantages of the RAD model. It's required highly skilled designers, right? All applications is not compatible with the RAD. For smaller projects we cannot use the RAD model, and the high technical risk is not suitable, right? Requirement things should be focused in a more than required users involvements also important. Evaluationary process model. This is called as the evaluationary process model. Evaluationary process model to produce with each iteration. Iteration is produced and incrementally more complete versions of the software with every iterations, right? Things to be focused in the more than once. That's the things should be comes under the concept of iteration, right? Evaluationary process model, one prototyping model, second one is the spiral model, then third one is the concurrent development model. First we start with the prototyping model. Prototyping model is consistent of activities. There is a cyclic activities. The every first phase is started, then going to get into the next phase, and once the next phase is completed, going to get into the next phase, then another phase is completed, then service, entire service and provided. For all the output for the previous stage, that should be for move to the next stage. So based on that, the prototyping model should be conducted. This is the cyclic approach. Whether our condition is goes to the up to satisfaction mark, this model should be executed in a iterative manner. Repeatedly we are going to do our process up to our condition is satisfied, up to our quality is reached 100%. start with the communication, especially this is also follow the previous models like waterfall model and RAD model. So communication is based on the users things, and we need to collect the requirements and collecting the data and made to the analysis also in that part, based on our systematic strategy and business strategy. So this is next moves to the quick plan in the sense prototyping model is a very useful and developed for the sample software, how our software is executed. So this should be before getting to our main development. This prototyping model should be developed, and it can be shown into the customers whether how we are going to give the input, how our software things, how our modules should be executed, what are all the modules we are going to place it, we are going to use. Your business strategy should be covered on these kind of model, these kind of things. Finally we are getting output in this way, the report generation is in this way. So everything should be clearly defined in the part of the prototyping model. It should be developed in the short span of time. Okay, next once the quick plan is completed, next move to the modeling and quick design, then construction of the prototype construction should be, it's a sample software of the particular software development, right? Development, delivery and feedback. So this is the last part. So that is why the prototyping models is more important. Okay, the prototyping paradigms belongs with the communications, the and communication in the sense they start with the communications. I said earlier, it is follow the previous models also. Software engineers and meet to the end users and collect the exact requirements from the end users, and what is our overall objectives, and what is how we are going to identify the software requirements. Okay, then outline areas, then how our software definitions and problem definition is made in a right manner or not. So what are all the mandatory things should be checked, whether we are going to the next level with the 100% satisfaction of our checklist. So these are all the things should be focused in a prototyping model. So then iteration is planned quickly and modeling occurs. Quick design leads to the construction of the prototype. Okay, prototype is developed and then evaluated by the customers and also the end users. Okay, iteration occurs, the prototype is turned into the satisfy the needs of the customers, while at the same time enabling the developers to better understand what needs to be done. So in this prototyping model is occurring in the short time of periods. Advantages, having some of the advantages by using prototyping models, customer get into the partial product early in the life cycles. Okay, not only for full products, only the partial products. This is the helpful to attain the great level of customer satisfaction and comfort, right? New requirements and additional things can be needed in the sense they easily forward and recommended. Okay, that is the there is a big level of scope and refinement also is there. Okay, missing functionalities can be easily figured out. Errors can be detected much easier thereafter, saving a lot of efforts and cost besides enhancing the quality of the software. Okay, then some of the prototyping can be reused by the developers, more complicated projects in the futures. Some enhancement is required means definitely we can do that enhancement. Okay, additional requirements, additional changes also possible to add in a part of the software development. That is the flexibility in a design. Okay, these are all the advantages. Then moves to disadvantage. Disadvantages means client involvement is more and it is not always considered by the developer. It is a slow process. It is a slow process, but we can develop this model in a quick period of time. So that is why it does not support all the things of the software development. It is a thrown away prototype when users confused within it. Okay. This is the prototyping model. Next we switch over or migrate to our next model, that is called a spiral model. Spiral model is a risk driven process model, continuously going to use. Okay, it is used to generating the software projects. Spiral model, an alternative solution is provided if the risk is found in the risk analysis. Suppose we are planning our software development in a one way. Unfortunately, some of the risks should be happen in the part of the development and the middle of the development. So that's time once the risk is found means definitely this kind of spiral model will helpful and gives a great solution to us. Okay, then especially there's more guidelines and suggested items to be very helpful. Okay, by based on this spiral model we can easily take into our task into the next level in a very without any more risk. Okay, it is a combination of prototype and a sequential model or waterfall model. Okay, previous model should be followed in this spiral model. This diagram we are having some of the framework activities in the spiral model, especially shown in the following figure. Okay, in this figure we can see some of the spiral model frameworks. Start from the planning. Inside the planning, estimation, scheduling and risk analysis. Once the nowadays everything modern technologies to be used for the software development. Industry is also focused on in a very competitive way. Suppose the once the software development is over, there should be software quality is more important. Okay, we should reach our software quality in 100%. Otherwise that software is not a worth. So that is why we will not give the customer satisfaction also. So that is why in the part of the planning we should do the estimation, scheduling and risk analysis also. Modeling, next page is called as modeling. Inside the modeling we are going to analysis and design. Software analyst is going to analyze top to bottom in a technical and non-technical terms also. How we are going to trigger out, how we are going to tape order basis analysis. Then we are using many modules in the sense how we are going to use the models for individually finally connecting and merging and or integrating model in the sense how we are going to made. So whether we are going to use in a right way or not. So everything should be used in the part of the modeling. Next one is called as the construction is called as the creating the software and generating the code and writing the code. After the writing the code, that's move to the testing. Okay, then next part is called as the development and delivery feedback. Okay, once the product development is over, that is to be implemented and installed our software projects. So these are all the framework activities. We are having collection of activities start from the first level, and in this model shows us the some of the cycling activities doing in a repetitive manner, that is called as the refinement. We start from the communication and planning, modeling, construction, deployment. Again we start from the communication, planning, modeling, construction, deployment. So repetitively we are going to do this same things until we are going to match our target. Understand? So this is what the very useful for the spiral model. So these are all the some important tips for the spiral model. Number of cycling activities should be focused for each and every product. This should be very useful and specified by the projects and higher authorities, right? Each spiral cycle is a stage in the software development process. Spiral model enables gradual releases and refinement of the product through each phase of the spiral, as well as the ability to build prototypes at each phase. Okay, these are all some advantages. Spiral model is a perfect of the projects that are large and complex. So in nature, as continuous prototyping and evaluation help in migrating any risks. So risk handling is a very easy way. This model is very helpful, especially handling the risk and handling the errors and handling the failures and frequent changes and implementation of new change requests. So then customer gets the new prototype in each phase. So definitely this is the higher chances of the customer satisfaction. This is called as some advantages. Some disadvantages also there. Expensive and time taking is very too then not suitable for the smaller and simpler projects. More documentation, deadlines can be missed. So this is some of the disadvantages. Next we will move to the concurrent development model. So concurrent development model, it is also having some of the sequence of activities and modeling activities. Then start concurrent in the sense our development is focused. Our development is always focused to the next levels. Every levels is very important. Start from the beginning level and going to the upper levels. So inactive things should be activated. Then what are all the things comes under the development, that should be suppose we are going to do some of these changes in the sense we are going to made in a very systematic manner. So this is called as the main part of the concurrent development process model. Here this diagram shows us the in the inactive mode, that should be moves to the under the development, whether the under the development means satisfy the two things, awaiting changes and under review. So once the awaiting changes in the sense under revision, going to make the some of the revisions. So otherwise we should focus on the other way, that is called as the under review means it should be focused on the baselines. Once the baselines is successfully completed means we are going to done with all those things. Whether after the changes, after the awaiting changes should be directly connected with the awaiting changes. So these are all the connectivity should be made by level. So this is called as the concurrent development model. Will follow the previous models also, will give the more systematic approach and all things. The concurrent development models definitely very useful for our software development. So every activity focused in a systematic way. Okay, the communication activity has completed in the first iteration and exists in the awaited changes stage. So modeling activity completed its initial communication and then go to the under development stage. So these are all the specifications and full details also available in the part of the concurrent process models. In the concurrent process model, activities moving from one stage to another stage in a very easy manner. These are all the advantages. This model is applicable to all the types of the software development process. It is easy for understanding and use. It gives immediate feedback from the testing. Okay, some advantages is there. Then customer satisfaction also made in a very easy manner. Disadvantages in the sense it need to be better communication between the team members, and this may not be achieved by all time. Okay, it requires the remember the status of the different activities. So that's all from our today's video. Next continuation process I will give and explain in our next video. Thanks for listening. Thank you all.